Good day, my relatives. This is Orest Swazdeski from the Vision and Voices Collective. You can find me at www.visionandvoices.ca, together in collaboration with my partner Sherry Cameron from The Pathway to More, where she can be found at www.thepathwaytomore.com. I'm pleased to say that we have followed our vision and have created this Evolutionary Emergence virtual experience where we've called together 2,500 plus people from across the planet to join us online to see what the emerging future wants to share with us. Please welcome our next speaker.
All right. Very excited to welcome Tiffany to the Evolutionary Emergence event. Let me just take a moment to tell you just a little bit more about Tiffany, and then we'll jump in. So Tiffany Sparrow is a Métis musician, healing therapist, mentor, and a mom. Tiffany first discovered the transformational power of sound through her own journey recovering from anxiety and eating disorders. Now, through healing programs and performances, she helps health and wellness business owners embrace their voice, empower their authentic expression, and create more impact when they speak, sing, or share. Tiffany is a certified music therapist, registered counseling therapist, award-winning recording artist. Find her music on all online platforms. International presenter and performer. She trains and certifies sound healers and helps people find and use their voice for impact through her vocal liberation healing programs. Tiffany is honored to serve others in this journey of remembering who we really are. Welcome, Tiffany.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Let's see if these slides will pop up here. Hopefully,
It looks
hopefully.
like
There we
it
go.
says there.
It's coming.
Starting. Tech.
The technology piece is always the piece I'm like, I hope it works.
Yeah.
Here we go.
There we are. Okay, so I'm just going to disappear and let you share, and then I'll come back.
Sure. And happy to, have you hop in and jump in and as you need and like. And yeah, it's just such a pleasure to be here with you again, Sherry, and with Orest as well. And with all of you here.
As well. Oh, for sure. Would you prefer I stay and just check on questions and stuff? I can do that too.
That would actually be really super helpful.
Okay.
Yeah, if you
I'll
can,
just
I would
stick
love
right
that.
in.
Sure.
Absolutely.
So, welcome everybody. Yeah, it's such a pleasure to be here. It's been so amazing so far, the pieces I've caught and I've sat in on, and just really a pleasure to be here and to share and to connect. And I'm going to be presenting Be Here now, and we're talking about different sound presence practices to liberate your authentic expression is going to be our main focus today. So let's hop on in, and I've got this little cartoon here to start us off. And if you're just tuning in, I'm just going to read it. So there's a woman on the podium, and she says, the following speaker was scheduled to give his talk last week, but he needed more time to prepare his impromptu speech. Ha ha ha. And so I'm wondering if that resonates for anybody here, and if anyone's inclined, if anyone's on the chat, maybe you could let me know who here has experienced significant anxiety about expressing yourself in public. Maybe put a 1 in the chat or a Y in the chat if that is you, if you resonate with anxiety or some fear around expressing yourself in public, just so I can have a sense of that. I'll put my hand up because I won't toss myself into the chat, but definitely for sure we've got some people popping in. How about anyone who wants to be able to express yourself more off the cuff, more spontaneously, maybe in the flow, say what you feel and mean, but feel intimidated or feel like you need to prepare to make sure it's just right. Anyone resonate with that? Maybe put a Y in the chat. Yeah, we got a yes, yes or a Y with that. Yeah, definitely, for sure. That's a big part of what this cartoon or this comic is speaking to there. And you are not alone in that. And I don't think this is news to anyone, but a lot of people, actually most people, really have a fear of expressing in public, of sharing themselves in a group. And it's more than half, it's 75%, probably even more. This is just the reported number, basically. That's the statistic that we have. And this ranges from less formal, like just maybe more casual conversations with colleagues and friends, to maybe artistic expression, to bigger presentations like this on summits or workshops or in your business, etc. So a lot of people have this experience, and a lot of people end up handling it by over preparing. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what to do and how to work with that and flow with that a little bit more. And I definitely have been there. I've been around the ringer with that, actually. I especially as a young person and a young adult, that's when I went through just a lot of things in my life. It's really what sparked my healing path and part of what I'm doing now. So I'm grateful for it, but it was a really tricky time for me. I'm a musician, as you heard, and and I love music. And with music comes performing. And so I had eating disorders. I had just all kinds of just rejection and fear of being myself, of being in my body. And that led to really intense performance anxiety. And so I have all kinds of memories of, I played in the school band. And of course I picked the oboe, which is classically like a solo instrument. And so I've got these vivid memories of me like trying to hold my oboe, and I'm just like trying to get out the notes, and sometimes not being able to, or standing on a stage to try and sing, or with my mom in church to try and sing, and my knees are knocking, etc. And just I feel like I'm going to vibrate off the stage, and just voice loss. I would be anxious for weeks leading up to performance. I would be awake in the middle of the night after performance, beating myself up. Like it was a lot I went through. And I actually stopped performing for a couple years. Actually, after my music therapy degree, I just decided, gosh, this physical and psychological stress from performance was just like too much. And it was good to take a break. That was being kind to myself, but ultimately that's not my path. And it really, a big part of my purpose. I get a lot of my joy from sharing music, speaking, sharing with other people in groups in different capacities. So I found ways to navigate it, and we'll talk about some of those ways today. The first thing I kind of want to put into the conversation right away is that it's not about being fearless. Okay, even though that's a nice affirmation to move towards, it's not about the fear and the anxiety disappearing and going away, actually. It's largely about finding a different way to relate to the anxiety and the physiological and psychological symptoms of that, to even build a different relationship with anxiety. And I'll put that in quotes because we do know that different emotions share neural pathways. So anxiety can be reframed into other emotions and excitement and stuff. And it's really about using the energy. It's energy, right? Anxiety, emotions are energy in general. So how can we use that? How can we channel that, right? So that's a big part of this conversation. You're not going to instantly all of the fear will just be evaporated. You will find new ways to relate with yourself and with your emotions, though. And another piece I want to put into the conversation is how you express is most important. So when a lot of people, at least for myself and people that I work with, when there's a lot of worry or anxiety about public expression and sharing, there's a focus on the details. I've got to script it. I've got to get the words right. Oh my God, I'm going to forget the order, blah, 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 all that kind of detail. For singers, it's all about technique. At least I focused on that quite a bit, or like hitting that note just right or in a certain way. In reality, people receive communication mostly through our body language and through our tone of voice. That's what we know through the research that's there. And really a very small amount of communication, 7 to 10%, is taken in through the details, like the words. And so that's also really important to remember as well, because we don't need to focus or fixate so much on that and worry about that. Instead, we can get to tune into presence. So that's why I say practicing presence. And this is something we can practice quite regularly through a whole bunch of different techniques. And so instead of practicing a script, practice your presence I've got here, right? And so I've even got the same scarf on just for continuity. That's awesome. And so the way I'm going to share, and the way that I found to be the most impactful when it comes to presence practices for us, is to use sound. And that could be a whole other presentation that I give about why sound works. I won't go into that, but it's suffice to say that it's really effective for capturing, maintaining our focus, creating an environment, helping us alter our moods and our states, sort of for a very short summary as to why that might work. Thanks, Suvan. Nice to hear. All right, so we're going to focus on some sound presences or present practices pretty soon. And essentially, a big part of presence, what happens in the presence practice or process, all these P words, is that we get to attune to ourself. And anchoring in ourself, anchoring into that attunement is where the expression comes from. It's the ground, it's the support, it's the anchor. That's no better word than that, from where our expression comes from. And then we can express through that. We can use that, we can channel that, we can kind of, it's like a circular feeling for me, anyways, the way I sense it is in a really cyclical, circular kind of fashion. And I find for myself, this is contrary to some of the advice that's out there, some of the advice I've received over the years in consulting with people around this and trying to move through and transform this for myself. So a lot of the advice is about focusing on them and focusing, like imagine them naked, or focus on this, or focus on a point out there, or focus on connecting to your audience and what they need. And yes, that piece is important. Definitely, we want to connect with our audience for sure. And especially for the people that I work with in this audience that Sherry named at the beginning. So often I see empaths, I see introverts, highly sensitive people who are in the healing, helping, mystical realm do tend to be on the sensitive side. And so what happens is that our energy just, when we're around other people, can very so easily just like want to just go up and out. And that's really destabilizing, really ungrounding. So what we need to do is to stabilize in ourself and find ways to sense ourself first. At least I've found for myself. And so this connection to the other, to listeners, must also first come from presence and connection to self. And so this is just a little bit about me, and just through working through and with this, attuning to my presence and using sound in a whole bunch of different ways, I now am able to share quite widely in groups and on stages in a bunch of different ways. As you heard, I've toured internationally with my music and with other performing artists and kirtan artists. I speak and give workshops at conferences. I've been on stages of 500 people plus, offering music and educational sessions. I've got solo albums out there. I teach and lead in groups regularly. So there is a pathway forward. You can go from the girl or the person that just was like literally just physically just a buzz with the anxiety into, hey, I can share my gift in a way that feels authentic and safe for me to do so. Awesome. Any questions so far, Sherry? This is kind of our introduction piece.
Well, I just myself,
Oh, yourself. Oh, cool.
I'm loving that you're bringing this up about it's attuning to presence, and tuning to ourself when we're getting presence, and that it's about presence. It's not because I really resonated with that, because you're right. We're told like focus on them and what do they want and all these things. And I mean, in just a very short story from myself, I can remember years ago, I've always had that niggle inside me. I know I'm meant to express and share. Like I just had this feeling that I know I'm sort of meant to be on the stage, maybe not literal, but could be, so to speak. And it was like, oh my goodness, like I can remember the first time I joined a thing called Weekend Warriors, and we all practiced like 5 songs together, and then we went to Reds at Westhampton Mall at the time, and I thought for that whole entire day I was going to die. I was just going to die.
Yep.
And so I mean, that felt really present to me. So I guess, and, sang 1 song, thought I was going to die, sang 2 songs, thought maybe this isn't so bad, sang 3, went, okay, this is starting to be fun. 4, by the time I was done 5, I was like, oh, I'm going to do that again. That was amazing.
Nice.
And so, but my point being is that the anxiety felt really present. So when we're in anxiety, are we then not in presence?
It can shift out of an embodiment, I will say, an embodied presence. So that's going to be a focus of this conversation, at least from my experience. The anxiety can allow our attention to not so much be in the rest digest mode, but to really go into that, okay, I've got to like get out of here, or I've got to fight. And it can be really focused. We will look at focus, but focusing on something that's going to impact us or keep us from actually just anchoring into all of ourselves and using our body as a vessel, as a vehicle to express from, because our voice, our expression is not just here. It's actually our whole embodiment is our, and actually beyond our, into our energy field, right? So what I found in anxiety can just really kind of narrow or detach or send it off somewhere else, or for different people it kind of can locate in different ways. But to not have that expansive filled out ground, even, it's often very uplifted and not anchored in the ground from what I've seen and experienced.
Mm-hmm.
It, yes, the emotion can be present, and the emotion can be, and it's not an easy path. The emotion, there's, to go in and through the emotion, that is an extreme, that is a presence practice for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
there's other ways to practice presence.
Yeah, for sure. And I love what Deb says here. She says, presence is my intention word this year. That's
Oh, cool.
awesome, Deb. And the other little piece I just want to throw in is for me, I know moving through that, I had to move through some of this. Well, I don't want to make it all about me.
Mm-hmm,
Right. And
mm-hmm.
so, and what
Like
I'm
that.
learning is if I'm feeling lit up about something, like attuning to myself and attuning to
Mm-hmm,
what's present and not staying on script and not sticking,
mm-hmm,
so regimented to the agenda, and just sort of that listening of what's coming up and
mm-hmm.
what's wanting to be shared,
Yep.
that usually lands. And so
Mm-hmm,
it's not a making it about me, but
mm-hmm.
I had that narrative. So I just want to
Right.
put that in.
So a bunch of things just to respond to that, but I would definitely, we don't want to stay in just, it's just about me. And I find again for people that are empathic sensitive or have that anxiety that we need to anchor and resource in that first. And then it's from there that then we can expand out and in and create that. And we will hopefully we'll get time to flow into some flowing expression from that to connect through embodied listening, if that makes sense. So that really makes a lot of sense. And yeah, there is a lot of, we don't want it to just, navel gazing and just be all about me for sure. And again, depending on our personality type and what is needed, a lot of the people that I work with, probably a lot of people that are tuning in, will need to hear this message of we need to anchor in ourself first and foremost and resource through ourself, and then move into that, as opposed to try to go out first, because we are, that's something that fight flight wants to do, is like, flight.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
great comments. All right, so we're going to move into steps for sound presence to free your expression. So steps, practices, tips, that kind of thing for sound presence, some different things that I like to do to practice when I'm doing my regular daily practice, etc. When I'm prepping for something that I'm going to come out and present to, these are some things that can help us get in the flow of a more authentic, fluid, flowing expression that's coming from an anchored presence, but then also receiving information through our listening and embodied listening. So we're gonna go into it right now. Let's do it. So firstly is to connect. So we've been talking about this, connecting in, and ways that I really love to do this is through breath. And I'm calling this a full resounding breath. So there's a few different things that we can do in this. And so we've probably heard about belly breathing and the importance of belly breathing and breathing low, and that is great. So belly breathing, for those that maybe don't know, is just breathing in and feeling expansion across your belly as you inhale, and then a release across your belly as you exhale. So that just is ensuring we're taking a low, deep breath. And when I'm working with people, I turn this into 360-degree breathing, because of course we don't just want to breathe kind of from our belly. In fact, we want to access, again, our entire body as a receptacle for our breath, for receiving, and then for expressing from our entire body. And so I won't take you through the whole 360-degree breathing process, but a really great next step is to take it away from just the belly and to take it into the side and the back. And so what I'll invite our listeners to do right now, and I'll do it too, is just to take a couple of breaths. If you can, landmark your hands, not on your waist, on your ribs. Somehow feel your hands, or just sense into your rib cage. And then I invite you to imagine yourself like an accordion. And this might feel different or awkward, or it might even feel kind of muscular as we do it. And we're going to breathe in and just imagine that you're widening into your hands and then narrowing disappearing as you breathe out. Try and get on camera, back on camera again. So you want to widen on the inhale through your nose. Breathe out through your mouth and narrow. And just take a couple of breaths like that. Again, it might feel kind of foreign or different, or like you've got to kind of make that happen. Ideally, you want to feel movement through the side and maybe into the back, kind of into the kidney area. Widening and a narrowing. Yeah. If you don't feel that, you're not alone. Hit me up for a session. We can talk about it. We can workshop it a little bit more. But just suffice to say that we want to focus on using our entire body as our receptacle, as our instrument when we're expressing. Okay. The next thing we're going to do with the sound is we're going to feel and sound the breath. So a couple of things to do. I really love this leaky tire. So you're going to take a breath in, and then just a long S. For as long as you can go. And you can try that again and actually do that a few repetitions, breathing in and just sustaining your exhale. And this is just narrowing your airway, creating a bit of compression, and that can just help with our relaxation response already. It can be just a way to literally just take the pressure off in some ways, just like you think of like a little, what is that, kettle steaming, little taking the pressure off. From there, we're going to move into sound. So we can either come into a hum if the z isn't accessible to you, but simply what you're going to do is move from a breathy s and just add a bit of tone. It can be any tone. Zzz, and you can let it shake, zzz, but eventually finding zzz, and if that's just not possible, bringing your lips together and humming. What we want to do in this is focus on the feeling of the vibration. Okay, so whether you're or z, feel your exhale, feel the vibration. The z is one notch up from the so whichever one you feel. And we know from research that this starts to stimulate vagal tone. And so vagal tone, the vagus nerve, is really associated with the rest, digest, relaxation response. It's the main nerve that helps to trigger that response. And so lots of research about toning, humming in particular, around stimulating that. So use your breath. Breathe in more deeply and sound on your exhale. That's what I have to say about that. Make sense? Awesome. All right, practice number 2, we're going to focus and feel. This is embodied listening, okay? So we probably know about active listening, which is awesome. A little upgrade into embodied listening is that, again, we're focusing on not just hearing. Our ears are awesome, but that's not the only way we hear. We actually receive sound through our whole body. We receive information through our whole body. We actually listen through our whole body. And so I'm going to invite you to use your whole body, again, as your receptacle for listening and embodied listening. And then, as I've been alluding to, we get to respond, not respond to, but respond with. So from the information, from the sensation, from what we notice in our body, we're going to respond with that, okay? And so that's going to allow us just to, for me, I find that deeply a great way to attune and resource into my body, into myself, so that I can speak more honestly from that noticing. And then also it has that ripple effect that it gives other people, that whether they know it or not, that permission to come into their body as well. So a couple of steps for this. So first 2 steps are embodied listening. The last step is actually our next presence practice, which we'll go into, which is flow. But we're going to focus. I'm going to focus attention on sound. I'm going to play us a singing bowl, and then we're going to feel. We're going to notice sensation with a recording that I've got for us, queued up. Hopefully, ready to go. Yes, it is. Okay, right on. So let's come into focus. Actually, before we do this, I'm just going to again check in with the participants here. Is there anything that wants to be asked? I don't think people can unmute per se, but if there is anything that's not clear or that you want to know more about, please feel free to pop that into the chat. Or is that feeling good for you, Sherry? Everything's kind of making sense mostly? Okay.
Making sense. And
Right on.
questions in the chat.
Right on. So let's come into our focus, and I'm just going to play my metallic singing bowl a few times, maybe half a dozen times. And what I'm going to invite you to do is to really anchor into the sound. And so what I mean by that is just to focus your attention, your listening, your hearing, your attention mainly on the sound and follow it, because sound is temporal, it moves. So follow it, follow it, follow it, follow it for as long as you can until the end, if possible. If your attention wanders, bring your attention back to the sound. Okay, so just anchoring, grounding your attention, your focus in the sound. Here we go. Just notice what you notice with that. Take maybe a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And that's all we'll do for our timing purposes for today. But you could go on with that for a few minutes. You could, find a recording that was a little more spacious. Again, for our time purposes, I kind of smushed it in a little bit. But that is a great way to, could you feel that? Could you feel the movement of the sound, Sherry? Could you feel yourself tracing it and then into silence kind of thing?
I could. And it's interesting because I'm an audio learner. Like I really do enjoy sound. And that is one of the things that I'll do even just to bring myself into presence throughout the day is like focusing on that sound that's farthest away and just like the nuances of it and then the sound that's closest. And so, yeah, it was really lovely to just stop and listen to that. And then, of course, my mind goes in thinking about some of them seem to like, reverberate and others seem more constant
Right.
and that's presencing, right?
That's right. Noticing. Yeah. And starting to come into the next step into an embodied listening. So not just focusing, which is awesome. We start with focusing and you get right into the focusing. And then we want to sense and notice what is our, okay, oh, I'm hearing this, or I'm feeling this in my body, or, oh, this image or this shape is appearing, or oh my gosh, I'm getting this scent. And so really coming into our senses to receive through sound is what I'm going to invite us to do next, and to notice what our response to that is and could be, which will take us into expression. So we're layering it in this way. So thank you for sharing all of that. And so that's what we'll move into now, is the feeling, the sensing component of embodied listening. So what we'll do is I'm going to play a recorded piece of music by the wonderful Jonathan Goldman, who is an amazing sound healer and pioneer. And as we're going through this, about 5 minutes, just to invite you to tune in with as much of your presence and as much as your body as possible. And to guide you, I'm going to ask you a few reflective questions here and there that may apply, that you might want to tune into, or you might just want to carry on your merry way and tuning into what you're noticing. But as much as possible, just inviting your senses to open: sensation, touch, images, shapes, colors, words, general feeling, sense, tastes, etc. And just be open to what you notice or what you sense and feel through the sound. Let's give it a try. Can you hear that, Sherry? Just give me a thumbs up if you can. You may want to close your eyes if you haven't already done so for this. Just minute of this piece, just an invitation if you want to continue to focus and feel the sound. And if you wanted to start to verbalize to yourself just what you're noticing in response, you can move into that as well. And when you're ready to, taking an inhale through your nose and an exhale through your mouth. And if your eyes are closed, just letting them open and joining us back in this space here. Let me know in the chat if there's anything from that you want to share, or anything you noticed, or anything you have questions about. Here's someone, Debbie says she lost the sound quickly in one strand and listened harder to see if you could hear it. Okay, yeah, leaning into the focus. Hopefully the sound is coming through. Technology doesn't always translate. Yeah. Feel free to yeah, it is a super beautiful piece, isn't it? Yeah, it's from Chakra Chants by Jonathan Goldman. Very evocative in a lot of ways, I find, which is why I use it for this practice. But yeah, it was okay, good. It was clear, Debbie. Thank you. I'm going to move on and keep rolling with the presentation, but feel free to keep putting in your comments and what you noticed. If sometimes texting or chatting can take a moment, but I just want to get us to this last presence practice or step anyways around, and we were already moving into it, right? So coming into focus, into receiving, so presencing in self, and okay, what's happening in my senses through what I'm noticing in this, and then how can I respond from that? What's my response with that? And so that's what we're going to practice, and of expressing from what you sense. And so the first piece of this is to express, again, just like we're breathing from our body, we're going to voice from our whole body. And again, we're not voicing just from even though our vocal cords are here and they are part of our tone that we create, we're not just vocalizing when we express from our throat. In fact, we want to, rather than just, I wonder if I can do it even, just thinking about vocalizing only from your throat as opposed to vocalizing from your entire body. If you can hear a bit of a difference in my voice, if I'm speaking mainly from my throat as opposed to speaking from more of my whole body, my whole presence. And so, couple ways to do this is just an audible, just an audible sigh. So you're going to breathe in through your nose and just like, and then let your sound travel. And for some people, most of us, that's going to feel kind of like it starts here and then takes us down. And we want to get into the feeling sensation of that. So try that a couple of times, breathing in. And it could be any vowel, could be ha, could be oo, could be ee. Right, just using a bit of sound to get more embodied and move the sound through the body. And then from there we can come into the foghorn, which is a little bit more of a specific exercise with that, which you start with an ooh sound that's kind of present into your mouth, ooh, and let's go ooh, and just kind of drop the tone. And for most people, we're thinking narrow, ooh, spacious, ooh, and you don't need to use the same tone as I'm using. Pick one that, whatever works for you. There's no right or wrong. Ooh, or ooh, or what kind of wherever you want to do it. But those two practices can help us get into the feeling of, oh yeah, I'm actually, ooh, my sound can resonate in different places or through different places in my body. So I can use more of my body as my expression tool. And then I just lastly want to take us into a really short opportunity to express with the word. It's a Nehio word, Wakotowin. which means connection. It symbolizes the connection, the interconnectedness between all of us, our relations, our communities, our nature. And so an opportunity to, and yes, I'm going to use music, but you don't have to express with music, but you're welcome to. So I've put the word Wakoto in the chat if you want to see it, but it simply means connection to self and to nature and to all. So something like this. Wakoto in. Wakoto in. Try it with me. Wakoto in. Wakoto in. And take it up. Wakoto in. Wakoto in. Wakoto in. Get connected to yourself, to your expression. Wakoto in. So tuning into the feeling of that sound, of that word, of my voice, of your voice. And then opportunity to just freely express. You can write, you can speak, you can tone along for a few moments as I go along. So this is your opportunity to listen, receive, and freely express from that. Wakoto in, Wakoto in. Wakoto in, Wakoto in, Wakoto in. We are one under the sun, Wakoto in. Healed and whole, connected in our souls, Wakoto in. And just let yourself speak any words of what you're sensing, or tone along, or Wakoto in along. So a few more moments here. Wakoto in, Wakoto in. And I would so love to just continue on and have us just continue on and move into more and more of that cyclical listening and then expressing. And yeah, for me, chanting and repetitive sounds has really been a way through. And that's really something I love to impart to the people that I work with and with them as well. And so, but for time purposes, that is pretty much the time that we have today. I want to honor our time. Oh, that's expressing from flow here. I didn't move into it, but just, I know we've been asking questions all along. I know we need to also get to just my gift that I have, right? Is that where we can go next? Yeah,
Hey,
thanks.
sorry, Oris, we're canceling your next session and we're gonna do music.
Let's just stay in chant.
Oh, that was so beautiful. Lots of love in the chat for that.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
Yeah, it
happy.
says, Bruce says, beautiful, your music and voice resonates with my whole body.
Oh,
And
good.
Linda says, I felt tears and very emotional release.
Yes.
Yes. So
Beautiful.
beautiful, Tiffany.
Awesome. Awesome.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Yeah. Moving us into more and more of that loving, anchored expression. Yeah. Wonderful. We're doing it together. Thank you. And yeah, Orest also has a beautiful chanting voice. So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
to hit him up for some of that if he hasn't already.
And I also want to just take a moment. I know you and Jerry have something
Yeah.
coming up here. Maybe you just
Yes.
want to give that a little plug for those that are
Yeah.
in the
Sure.
Edmonton area.
Yeah, we're offering a beautiful day on Sunday, this Sunday, so the 26th, the Freedom to Forgive. And so opportunity to release resentments and to open more fully into peace and through our hearts. It's from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Roots on White building, and there's going to be Ho'oponopono and forgiveness practices and different the processes that Jerry leads so beautifully with her trilotherapy and just practices to move us out of what we're holding. And then I'll offer sacred music, and also we'll do a shamanic sound journey for the heart chakra. So connecting in and just loosening and filling the heart chakra with a lot of beautiful, beautiful energy to
Oh
help
my
us tap into
goodness.
that. So that's this Sunday.
Doesn't that just sound like exciting?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if you, I think Jerry's on. I saw her comment. Yes, perfect. I was going to say she can put
Yay.
that in the
Oh,
chat.
thanks, Jerry.
So,
She's on.
yes, and I want to get to your free gift. So, your free gift is?
Yes, I've got an authentic voice attunement session. So I've got 10 of these only, and I've already had 2 people take me up on them. So, by the way,
Ooh,
so this is a
okay.
mini session to work with your throat chakra and your ability to use your voice. And so in this, we'll do a voice bioassessment. So through your speaking voice, we can find the frequency that is needed for you at this point in time right now. And we're going to use that in the session then to do some interactive healing. We didn't get to any of that kind of spoken release commands to repattern what's happening in your body and energy field around expression wounds. So clearing any, like what's happening for you specifically around suppression, judgment, fear of your voice and expression, gain empowerment through that. So half an hour for that's regularly $157, but yeah, I'm gifting that to 10 people. So please grab that.
Ooh, yes. Make sure you guys check that link right now.
So I
And
got it. Yeah, I don't know if you want me to put it in the chat too, but it's there on the QR code. Maybe I'll put it in the chat real
I
quick.
believe
Oh,
it's
you
in
did.
just up
You
above.
did. You're on it. You're on it. And then for our VIPs, I've got a couple of things. I've got a beautiful throat chakra sound meditation recording with similar intentions, but in a different process. We're recording to clear and balance your throat chakra and expression for you to have on demand and to release blocks to expressing your truth, to clear patterns of hiding and inauthenticity, and to amplify your expression.
Ooh.
And then a bonus to that, I also, when you sign up for that, you're also going to get my Sound for Self-Healing guidebook. And so this is 12, it's more than 12 now, I've added to it, 12 plus actionable steps to start to use sound to activate your healing. So tips, guidelines, things to focus on, things to try, how to choose music for a purposeful playlist or a mood playlist, and take your ability to heal with sound to the next level. Linda, the session is online. Yeah, the session, they're all online. So the beautiful thing about technology, you can hear my sound, and energy doesn't know time and space. So I do a lot of my work online right now. So yeah, just join me from wherever you are in the world.
Oh my goodness, that was just absolutely beautiful. I wish we could just close the day out and just let you guide us.
Next time.
Yes. But if you are in the Edmonton area, take Jerry and Tiffany up on that and make sure you grab those beautiful free gifts.
Yep.
I know I'm in.
Beautiful.
That sounds wonderful. So thank you, Tiffany.
My pleasure. Thank you, everybody, for being here with your presence and your questions and your comments, and to you, Sherry, and to Orest for holding space for this kind of evolution that's happening and needed. So yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye, everyone.